Good morning, everyone. I think it's still morning, so the end is in sight. So I'll try and keep my presentation pretty brief. And I think the Minister has probably done quite a bit of work already for me this morning, so as has Rosemary's introductory remarks. So it's key that we're in a time of major change in energy markets, and it's critical that we understand what consumers are saying, thinking, and how they're engaging and participating in these markets. So the Energy Consumer Sentiment Survey is a key piece of research that ECA is doing twice a year and will continue to do, which will allow us to look at trends over time, to look at changes in sentiment, and I'll talk a bit about what we mean by sentiment, and to use that to inform policy. So what I'm showing you today is essentially the results, but not what our policy conclusions might be that we draw from those. Those go back much more to thinking about what does the research mean and how we think about that in terms of the development of this market. So some key results. We asked consumers how satisfied overall they are with their electricity and gas service. And pretty well they tell us they're satisfied. And as my colleague David Havitt, who's now standing up, will often share with us, sorry David, it's quite common for people to report a level of satisfaction as long as they're not being disappointed on a fairly regular basis. If their expectations are being largely met, even if their expectations are low, satisfaction is something that people tend to report at around 60 to 70%. So that was really a sort of leading question to sort of understand overall. But what we really wanted to do is go beyond that. And we asked consumers as well. We broke down what we thought might be contributors to satisfaction. So we asked them about satisfaction with value for money, satisfaction with reliability, satisfaction with customer service, and satisfaction with billing. And I'm not going to take you through all of those. It's a large survey. And just while I'm at that point, all the data is available as well. So you can go through and you can look at all the questions, all the results. There's 2,300 observations each sample. So you can unpick some of those. So I've just pulled out today the value for money. And this is the value for money reported by residential consumers. And it won't surprise you, I suppose, listening to what we were listening to earlier with Malcolm. And I was struck by what he was saying, that people do actually benchmark value or their perception of an industry against their best experience. Now, we didn't put Bunnings in our survey, and maybe I should have. But if we're benchmarking it against utilities, this is the results we're getting, that people are telling us that value for money in electricity and gas is less than they're getting from their mobile phone, from their insurance, from their banking, from their water. So what that tells us is this industry has further to go in terms of being responsive to consumer preferences and what people are expecting from this industry in terms of value for money and service. And this is the small business one, just to reinforce that there are similar perceptions. And again, you can see, and the state results move around a bit. In some cases, mobile phones is higher or banking is higher, but pretty generically, electricity ranks the lowest against utilities. One of the things we asked in the AMC in a very similar survey, also asked this once a year, they asked consumers whether they're satisfied with choice or the level of choice, and we asked them whether they're satisfied with the level of competition. And you could sort of see those things as similar questions. What the results are showing us is that people, really consumers, are not mugs, to use one way of expressing it. They know when they have choice and they know when they don't. So in markets like Victoria, New South Wales, South Australia, where there's been retail contestability and choice for some time, people have relatively more satisfaction with the level of competition. I suppose the surprise for us when we saw these results is that really, other than in Victoria, it's less than 50% are still saying they're satisfied with the level of competition. So there's still some missing ingredient for consumers in this market, or that's the question we're really asking ourselves. And then keeping in mind their satisfaction with competition, or in fact whether they actually do have a choice of competition or a choice of provider, whether they can actually switch plan or whether they can switch company, you get similar results in terms of switching rates. So in more competitive markets where there's more retailers on offer, where there are more plans on offer, where prices are deregulated, you find higher switching rates. What still stands out for us, though, in these results as well, is even in those markets which have had competition and choice of retailer for some time, you still find a significant proportion of consumers say they've never switched. So that suggests, again, a level of engagement in this market that is perhaps lower than what you'd expect. This is the last slide, and I just want to finish here with one of the things that our research is also telling us. We not only ask consumers, what are they doing in terms of switching providers and plans, but what are they actually also doing around their home in terms of energy efficiency, based on technology, largely the choices that we gave them to actually manage their costs and get control over their energy bills. And we asked the question in that specific way. What stands out in these two examples is just the high proportion of people who have and or are considering solar, and similar with battery. And in a related piece of research, even though we understand that the economics are not adding up, people are not actually using their calculator. They're highly motivated to get control and cost over their bills. Environment is a factor, but comes behind that. And so we can expect in the future to still see people really marching into these markets to take some control over their costs. So I'll finish there. This is just to give you an overview, I suppose, of the range of questions and indicators that we're looking at. We've grouped them according to satisfaction, activity, and confidence. And over time we'll produce an index, and that will give us some indication of how this market is trending and performing over time. So thank you, and I'll stop there.